Hello and welcome. This is an eighth grade math video where we're going to be focusing on reviewing how to add and subtract with integers, which are positive and negative whole numbers. Okay, here is the first one we're going to go over. It's a -8 minus -2. So again, this should be a review. A lot of times these adding and subtracting with integers is taught in 6th and 7th grade. So I maybe move a little kind of fast through this because it should be a review for 8th graders, but that's okay if you feel like still a little lost with it or still need a little bit more clarification. You've come to the right place. Okay, so we're going to start with -8, and I'm going to rewrite it just to make it a little bit bigger, minus -2. So there's a little method we can use anytime we are doing subtraction, even if there are two positive numbers or one positive, one negative number. We can use a method that I like to call keep, change, change. Now, sometimes you may have seen something different from different teachers about this, but the idea is the same. The idea is that you keep the first number the same. So in this case, we're going to keep -8 the same. The change comes when you change from subtracting to adding. So we're going to change that from a minus to a plus. I'm going to try to make that a little bit darker so it's easier to see. Let's see if I can get like kind of a darker blue going here. Maybe that one. That should be good. Okay, so we changed it from a minus to a plus. So that's the first change. And then the second change is when you change the sign of the positive or the second number. So since the second number is negative, the opposite of a negative number would be a positive number. So I'm going to make this +2. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and add those together. Since I have more negatives than I do positives, I know that my answer will be negative. Now I have to find the difference between these numbers because I had opposite signs. So whenever you're adding integers and you have opposite signs, you keep the sign of the bigger number and then you subtract the numbers. So we kept the negative sign because 8 is bigger than 2. Now we have to subtract the numbers. So 8 minus 2 is 6. So our answer here is going to be -6. Okay, here is our next one. It's -10 plus 7. All right, so let's rewrite that. -10 plus 7. Okay, so now we are adding, so we don't need to use keep, change, change, but we are adding two integers with opposite signs. So when we do that, we need to keep the sign of the bigger number. Since 10 is bigger than 7 and it's negative, we're going to keep that negative sign. So I'm going to go ahead and put that over here as part of my answer. The second step would be to subtract the numbers. So 10 minus 7 is 3. So our answer here is -3. And if those rules of adding and subtracting integers are a little fuzzy, check out some of my earlier videos for 6th or 7th grade math where we talk and go a little more in depth as to why we use those rules. But I will show you with a demonstration of a picture here how this works. So if I have 10 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I can represent it with a picture that looks like this. Then I have 7 positives, which I can represent as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, for every negative and positive pair, they cancel out. So I'm going to go ahead and circle all those pairs that have matching positives and negatives and just get rid of them. And what I'm left with is 3 negatives. So I can represent that with -3. Okay, here we go. 4 minus -7. 4 minus -7. Okay, so we're using subtraction. So again, we can do keep, change, change. Okay, so we're going to keep the first number, which is 4. So let's go ahead and keep 4. We're going to change, the first change is to change the subtraction to adding. So I'm going to go from subtracting to adding. And the second change right here is I'm changing the sign of the second number. So I'm going to change from a -7 to a +7. So now it looks like I'm just adding 4 plus 7, which is equal to 11. So my answer here is going to be 11. Okay, here is our next one. We're doing 35 plus -7. So I'm going to go ahead and write that kind of big, 35 plus 97. I almost said -7. -97. Okay, so again, we are adding together two integers that have opposite signs. So that means I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number and then subtract the numbers. Since 97 is bigger than 35, that means I have more negatives than I do positives, and my answer is going to be negative. So I can go ahead and put that negative sign over here, and then I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the problem. My second step is to subtract these numbers. So I'm going to take 97 and subtract 35. 7 minus 5 is 2, and 9 minus 3 is 6. So I'm going to put -62 as my answer. Okay, here's our last example for this video. We're going to do -37 plus 14. Okay, so let's rewrite that. -37 plus 14. Okay, so we again have a negative and a positive, which means we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number and then subtract the numbers. So since 37 is bigger than 14 and it's negative, I'm going to keep that negative for my answer because that means I have more negatives than I do positives. My next step is to subtract the numbers. So 37 minus 14. When I subtract those, 7 minus 4 is 3, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So -23 would be my answer. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next video.